So we have a bit of a Dominion problem. Back in the year 2374, the Federation made a push to retake the Dominion-held DS9 in Operation Return, and this was almost thwarted when Dominion reinforcements entered the wormhole. However, due to Captain Sisko's request, the wormhole aliens, or prophets, intervened, shifting the Dominion fleet forwards 35 years. Now that fleet has re-emerged and seized the station. The Dominion soldiers in charge, a Vorta named Loris and a Jem'hadar called Karakan, will not relinquish the station unless ordered to do so, and all attempts to contact the real current era Dominion have failed thus far. And getting in contact with them is kind of critical, as this is something they'd clearly want to be clued in on, and they might even be able to help.
Karakan's ships are guarding the wormhole, so access is limited. A small craft like a shuttle or fighter might be able to slip through the blockade, so leave your starship here at Bajor. Commander Samuel Winters is here, and he's one of the best shuttle pilots I know. I recommend you bring him along. The war is over, but Loris and Karakan won't believe it unless they hear it from someone they trust.
So, our plan is to sneak into the Gamma Quadrant and obtain the Dominion's help with reining in their errant soldiers. In theory, they would help, having made every effort. We arrive at Deep Space Nine in the Herald, a Yellowstone-class runabout. And Temet informs us that the diversionary fleet will occupy the Jem'hadar forces, while we, in our unnoticeable little ship, will disable the sensor systems of DS9. Once down, we should be able to approach the wormhole without suspicion. We're going to do this by jamming those sensors that are aimed at the wormhole located on the lower main pylons. Upon jamming the first sensor, however, a small Jem'hadar patrol ship arrives to investigate, and we have to destroy them, so we're going to need to pick up the pace. Also to look out for are the Worker Bee repair drones that are automatically dispatched to see to the station's sensors. If we allow one to successfully reset the arrays, we'll have to start over. Therefore, the Worker Bees should always be the priority before finishing off the Jem'hadar fighters. Passing under the station's main reactors, we move to the next pylon. As long as no one looks out the windows, we should be alright. As we move to disable each sensor in order, 6 in total, several more Worker Bees and Dominion ships are dispatched from the station to intercept us. Looks like we've not been as secretive as we'd hoped. Fortunately, nothing from the main fleet has come after us yet.
The Jem'hadar ship is on an intercept course, sir. Shields and weapons are at full, Captain. Ready to engage.
Okay, so an actual Jem'hadar fighter might be a bit of a bigger problem. The Yellowstone runabout is more advanced than a Dominion War era Danube class, so we might stand a chance, maybe? Fortunately, with some fancy flying, we have an entire station to break line of sight if we need a breather. However, with all our weapons 4 on the runabout, we'll have to keep the Jem'hadar fighter in our sights. Something a vessel this size has is manoeuvrability, so many of the Dominion's Polaron beams miss their mark, but in a straight up slugging match, we'd probably lose. Eventually we're able to harass the vessel into submission, or explosion, even if I did forget to set my hotbars. With our tail dealt with, it's now or never, so we make a break for the wormhole.
Setting a course for the wormhole now. We'll be halfway to the Gamma Quadrant before the Jem'hadar know what happened. Wow, that's some view. This is my first trip into the wormhole. Thanks for letting me tag along. Captain Curlin says there's a traitor in the Idrin system who knows how to contact the Dominion. She's probably our best chance for finding them quickly. But Curlin says Farik's help won't come cheap. We need to be ready to negotiate with her. When we're out of the wormhole, we should start searching for Farik's vessel.
So, my first trip to the Gamma Quadrant. Farik is nowhere to be found, but there is a nav buoy to take a look at. We're in the Idrin system, a trinary system with a big old yellow star and two smaller O-types of a very blue hue. There are no planets, just some asteroids caught in their orbits, and I always thought there should be a station on this end too by now, but I guess we're not in Federation space anymore.
I'm picking up a ship on long-range sensors, Captain. The configuration matches Farik's ship, sir, but I'm detecting damage to several systems. There's no response to a Hale, sir, but her communications array might be damaged. Setting a course to the ship's coordinates now.
A quick in-system jump has us arrive at the asteroid field. Temet easily locates the vessel within one of the bigger rocks, with the entrance shielded. She notes a strange form of cosmozoan, the designation for a spaceborne lifeform, a small tadpole-like creature with metallic shells, previously uncatalogued. Interesting, but unfortunately we don't have time to study these small swarms of them. Well, we'll need to destroy this shield barricade to get to our contact. Let's just hope she doesn't charge us for it. So I guess we're going in. Good job we have a decent pilot at the helm. We creep into the maw of this space boulder in search of our quarry, the seemingly flighty Ferengi female Farik. Interestingly enough, Samuel Winters here will go on to get a promotion and be assigned to the USS Enterprise F as its XO along with Captain Shon. Klingon allied players have a different pilot, Vishka, an equally talented Orion girl. I think we've found our Ferengi. Although her ship, the Kranich, looks to have seen better days.
I can hear profit in the wind, and the wind is blowing.
Hello?
You want it? I've got it.
Hi, yeah, Captain Hale. Are you Farik?
That's me, the best trader with the biggest deals in the sector. I have Udderberry futures.
What?
Cultural artifacts from 100 different worlds.
I'm sure they'd like them back.
Current nectar, disruptor rifles, and the best salvage this side of the galactic barrier.
That doesn't make sense.
Or maybe you're interested in something else. Need a guide to the Gamma Quadrant? How about someone who can take you to the hidden markets? Or get you into the Dosi system unnoticed? If you have the Latinum, I have what you need. Time is money.
Okay, before we go any further, what on earth happened to your ship? Why is it in ruins?
Oh, that? Nothing really. Nothing you need to be concerned about. You just can't make some customers happy.
Right, so what brings you all the way to the Gamma Quadrant?
Profit. While it's easier for women to run their own businesses now on Ferenginar, there's still a lot of prejudice. And I'm not about to stay home naked chewing tube grubs. I was a dealer of assorted and sundry merchandise in the bullion sector till there was a slight problem with my business partners. Through absolutely no fault of my own, my business license from the FCA was temporarily revoked. Until I can get the paperwork straightened out, I decided to set up shop out here.
Yeah, so you broke the rules then, didn't you?
It's great out here. There's hardly any competition and deals to be made everywhere. The wadi aren't any trouble once you learn the rules of that crazy game. The dosi are too scared of the Karema to be a real challenge, and everyone else is either running from the Dominion or part of it.
Well, that last bit's certainly true. Speaking of, that's who we need to contact. Would you know how?
Well, now, that's an interesting question. I know where to find the Dominion, of course. I can even get you in touch with a Vorta who has a direct line to the Founders. He's a close personal friend as well as a valued client. In fact, I always keep a case of Covenant Crunch on board just for him. However, the location of one of my best customers is not information I share for free. And no offense, friend, but you don't look like you can afford what I would charge.
Which is what? What's this gonna cost me?
I'll give it to you straight. Intel about the Dominion is hard to acquire, and therefore extremely valuable. You don't have a cargo hold big enough for all the latinum I'd want in exchange for the data, but I'm willing to consider an alternative method of payment. You see that planetoid over there? I have a limited amount of time to collect everything valuable from it that I can. And as you can see, my ship could use some repairs. While my crew and I work on fixing this baby up, I could use some help with the salvage. So, here's the deal. You get me something I can turn a profit with, and I'll tell you where you can find the Dominion.
So, depending on our specialty, in Captain Hale's case, tactical training, we have an objective to fulfill. There are some archaic automated turrets in this system, and with the right know-how, we can deactivate them and salvage some components. Scientist captains can locate some rare particles to collect, while engineers can salvage some wrecks for their parts. We set a course for the first of 4 turrets and fly through the rocks and past the strange metallic critters that are milling around like minnows. Presumably they feed on some minerals found in the asteroids. In order to successfully disable a satellite and prevent it from firing up, we have to respond with the correct 2 options based on the message we get as it powers up. Doing so correctly shuts down the array, allowing us to safely beam out components to return to Farik with. And naturally I can't resist trying to do some high-speed flying along the way. We complete the collection just as Farik begins to pester us to return. Fortunately, Temet is screening my calls. Now, which rock did we leave her in again? Pulling up alongside the Kranich, we hail the Ferengi Captain.
You want it? I've got it.
Well, I've got them and you want them.
That's great. Nice doing business with you. I'll just verify the transport and then I'll contact my friend, the very important Vorta. I'm sure that he'll be able to help you with whatever you need. Quick! Cut the comm! Jump to warp! What do you mean we don't have warp drive yet? Get it going! Now! Wait, can they still hear me? You know the funny thing about resonance pulses? They drive the swarmers crazy.
I'm going to assume that we were all stunned with stupidity. Okay? Right, let's go after her. Unfortunately, the Idrinian swarmers have been aggravated by that pulse weapon, and now they'll attack anything that moves. They have laser-like energy discharges which they use to mine the rocks, or in this case through a starship's hull, and we're left with no choice but to fire back at the strange creatures. We cannot jump to warp until they stop harassing us. Fortunately, while we do have to fire at a lot of them, we don't have to kill them all, and eventually they let up. And back to unfortunately again, they can inflict quite a lot of damage with those little bitey lasers of theirs. That was a shame. Oh, look what they've done to my ship. We didn't have to go far, however, as we quickly locate the Kranich at the edge of the system, close to the wormhole. Makes sense, Farik was making a run for the Alpha Quadrant again before she was stopped by a Dominion patrol by the looks of things. Now, there's a glitch here again where the audio dialogue was supposed to be replaced with that of Jeffrey Coombs' Wayoon, but instead it remains that of another Vorta named Eraun. In one place the dialogue even conflicts, as it did with the Garrick replacer in the opening chapter of this story arc, and years later it's still not fixed. So I'm just going to treat this character as Eraun, and the Vorta who is assigned to us later on as Wayun.
Farik's ship has life support and engines, sir, but that's about it. Shields are failing, and she only has limited weapons. The lead Jem'hadar vessel is hailing us, sir. Putting it on screen now.
Ah, so the representatives of the Alpha Quadrant finally make their way to seek aid from the Dominion. We have been expecting you. According to our information, you're having a slight occupation problem on Deep Space Nine. I might be able to assist you with that problem if you have come here in friendship. And as we all know, friends help one another. You can start by destroying this nuisance and her ship. She has intruded into the Gamma Quadrant without permission and is conducting unauthorized salvage operations in our space. The penalty for this is clear. By all rights, we should execute you as well. But I am willing to overlook your involvement this time. So, as the Ferengi would say, do we have a deal?
Well, now we have a choice, and we hail Farik.
We are still friends, right? I'm in a bit of a spot here. Got any help for your old pal, Farik?
Naturally, I choose the Federation values of saving her life, but not after making her sweat a bit first.
Hey, friend. Look, I found the Dominion for you. You have to help me. They're crazy. Okay, I'll go. I'll go back to the Alpha Quadrant. I'll refund their latinum. I'll even give them what's left of my cargo holds. Just don't let them kill me. And that resonance pulse. Funny, huh? I knew those little suckers couldn't really hurt me.
Those little suckers messed up my ship, and I was forced to annihilate a third of that swarm. Do you have any idea the amount of paperwork that involves now? The things I'm going to have to report on. That was a completely new life form as far as I could tell.
Let me go. I know Eraun won't hunt me down again. He's got too many other problems to worry about a small-timer like me. Just, please, let me go.
Lock weapons on her warp core. Fire when I give the order.
Hey! Watch where you're pointing those weapons. Come on, I may have done a few tiny little things wrong, but nothing that's worth killing over. The resonance pulse. You can't be upset about that, can you? You lived. You can't be mad if you lived.
What kind of backwards-ass logic
You know I
am I?
can't fight you. I'm no warrior. I'm a worm. You don't want to kill a worm, do you? Be a pal. Let me go.
Fine. Scram, Farik. I'm not one to seek petty revenge. Great, though. Now I'm going to have to deal with the Dominion.
You come seeking my aid and then refuse a simple request? This is not an auspicious start. Nevertheless, you have something I want, and I have something you need. The only logical conclusion is cooperation. I will return to the Alpha Quadrant with you and render whatever assistance I can. There is a price, though. For more than 30 years, Starfleet has held one of the Founders as a prisoner of war. Imagine the hubris it takes to contain a god. The arrogance. When the Founder is returned to me, you will have the Dominion's complete cooperation, and my guarantee that Karukan and his fleet will not trouble Deep Space Nine again.
Well, that went as well as can be expected. For the sake of interest, I reran the entire mission and chose to destroy our friendly Ferengi, just to see what the outcome would be, or if it differed at all, and here's the result.
Worm, do you? Be a pal. Let me go.
You know, a mirror universe version of me might have let you live. Aside from being deliciously evil, it prompts Weyoun/Eraun to be pleased with us, but ultimately the same deal plays out. After stating it could be a beneficial partnership, it's exactly the same conversation anyway. With Weyoun ready to accompany us as an emissary of the Dominion, a deal has been offered, so we have our terms. Let's see if the Federation Council will be amiable to them. We fill in Commander Achebe, who lets us know that Weyoun is being met by Starfleet intelligence and is proving cooperative. Still, we cannot underestimate the Dominion. The price for taking back DS9 is a rather hefty one, the release of the Federation's biggest threat in years and a convicted war criminal. But that's up to the Federation to decide. Now the Great Link has Odo as a part of it, and the Dominion has adhered to the peace treaty for the past 3.5 decades, so perhaps that adds something to the table. Either way, while the Federation makes up its mind and negotiates with Weyoun 10, we're awaiting our next mission. Until that time, I thank you for watching this part of the story series in the ever-buggy narrative of Star Trek Online, and I hope to see you for the next part. Thanks again for watching. I've been Rick, and goodbye.